Hello, talking to you. Yes, you. Maureen Sky, Crafty Sky Lady. In case you're new here, hello, thank you for joining in. I am Maureen Sky. I am a creative one, a crafty lady. I do a lot of things in regard to crafts. And I also have written, say, 4 children's books, so I'm a children's book author. I like to write and I like to write poems, but in all of that, I'm a storyteller. I like to tell stories as well. And I've been told that I'm a pretty good storyteller, so I decided, I think I got a little too much lipstick on here. I've been told that from bosses and supervisors, people that I worked with over the years, that I'm a good storyteller. So I decided to make that more of, the top part of my niche, so that I can come to you and tell my stories and maybe do a little crafting while we tell a story. So tonight I'm in another corner of my back room, which is a work room. And yes, you can tell from looking at it, it's a work room. And I do a lot of things out in this room. And right now I'm sitting in the corner of the area where I work with my jewelry. I'm a jewelry maker. I started making jewelry from broken china dishes and basically china, but you can use other kinds of dishes as well. I've even used some real thick ones, which is it's more work, but I've done it. And so, yeah, I don't know, a few 4 or 5 years ago, I started that. And I taught myself via YouTube, watching YouTube videos, how to, use a soldering iron. This is a Weller, Weller, and this one says WP35. This is the one I like to use, and you purchase the different bits that this isn't on yet, thank God, or I would not be touching it. Trust me, these things get very hot, and you want to always use your protective gear, and whatever, gloves, eyeglasses, keep anything that's flammable away from it. Those kind of, read all your precautions, watch as many videos of people doing the same thing, and to learn. And that's how I learned, and I learned a lot just from other people, giving it up and giving up, sharing their information, that, things that they learned, their knowledge. And that's what I'm doing here, all while talking with you and hopefully telling a story or two about my life experiences. Basically, they're true stories, nothing that I've made up, or and we have fun here. I might tell a little humorous one, or maybe something a little more traumatic or something, but anyway, life has its ups and downs, right? So that's what's stored up in here, right? So with that, I wanted to say a few things. The last few videos I've done have basically been really targeting what I call the narcissist in my life. And I talk at length about different stories, different things that I remember that were hurtful to me, or I question, and they were challenging. And so tonight I thought, why don't I, give up a little more of, maybe some better side of things, or something more pleasant that I remember. Because obviously I was with this person for 28 years and we did have 2 children. So it couldn't have been all that bad at times. And in the early years we did have some, fun times, a couple here and there. So I want you to know that. I think overall what got old for me was his personality, that you can't change them. And I grew differently. I grew in a different direction, because when I did marry him, I was this quiet, more shy, more timid, more intimidated young woman. And I grew to be stronger and more voiceful. And I learned through going to women's groups, where you're sitting around in a circle with other women who give up their uh, weekly or monthly challenges, and some of their stories were far more horrifying than mine. And you realize, number one, you're not alone, and number two, oh my goodness, so don't judge anybody, really, I guess, in that sense, until you've walked a mile in their shoes, I guess. And so with that, I'm gonna try to kick this one off in regard to the narcissist, but maybe some a little more pleasant stories, along with maybe still some things that were challenging that I had to endure, to hopefully, as each video comes out and as each time I'm doing a video, you get a bit more understanding of um, the point I'm trying to make, and the challenges that I endured. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So again, I'm gonna try to work on some jewelry. So again, this is a Weller. It's got the 3 prongs, so you need that. It gets very hot. You want to be safe. I have this little thing here that I bought through like Amazon, and it is what they call the arm, the helpful arm. And it really does help when you're working on dish pieces. I might clip a piece in there while I'm soldering it, and as you can see, I use one to hold the spool of, this is solder. This isn't wire, even though it looks like wire. It's solder. It's the solder. And the soldering iron, when it's hot, you will grab some solder from there and it'll melt onto there. Then it's ready to work on your project. And it's at first, years back when I started, this really intimidated me. Knowing it's hot, and the whole thing, really, I tend to be a precautionary one, I guess. And this was hard to get used to for me, and it may be for you too if you're thinking about doing something like this. But if you stick with it and keep doing it, you get more comfortable, and then in the big picture, you really are learning a valuable, and I don't even know that I know all that, or if I'm even doing it 100% accurately. If you were to, go to the big kahunas who've been making jewelry for years and know how to use all these tools, they're probably, my video here might be very laughable to them. I don't know. But this is what I taught myself, and this is what I'm showing you. Okay? All right. So now I do want to say that there's different kinds of solder too, different degrees and thickness and different. Now I paid quite a bit for this one because I wanted some that had, I get lead-free silver solder, and you can buy it in like Aubuchon's and that. I think my number I use is 620. I don't know if I have any one of those here with me, something like that. But I also, I think back over the holidays or the last time, months and months ago, I did invest in some of this sterling premium lead-free solid wire solder. And it was pricey. So I use it when I want to make a real special piece or something, because it is so pricey. But boy, it really does make a nice, and again, you're using, and it melts and you work it, and it's very, very nice. And you can see how bendable the solder is. And again, it's solder wire, so it's going to look like wire, but it's solder. Okay, now, you always want to have a nice little rag handy too. Now, I'll show you something. Here's 2 pieces I'm hoping to work on. These are 2 pieces that my husband, just about a year ago, I think it was, from, I think 2 little, like, sandwich plates. I just loved them. They were the Lily of the Valley pattern. They're pretty. And, like this one, I've got a, well, of course, when you put the copper foiling on, any flaws around this edge, you won't notice that. But you want pretty much your back to be flat, and there is still a little ridge here. But I think I can work around that, though. I'm pretty sure I can, and still make a nice necklace. Matter of fact, that might hold my bail better, having it a little thick there, so I might just leave it. But anyway, I have been hand filing these. I have a machine, a wet grinder, and in another video I'm really going to showcase what that does and how to use it. It's a square machine. You add water to it. It has like a plastic screened top, and the water's in the well underneath that, and then up from that sits a drill bit, like a diamond drill bit that goes on there. You can buy the different parts if you wear one out. You can go online and buy more of those. And then you have a little sponge in that little well as well that pops up, just a little piece of sponge. And so the water gets onto the sponge absorbs all of that, and it's nice and wet, and you want that because when you turn it on, you're going to be pressing this against that bit that's spinning quite fast, and let it do its thing with the water, and you just keep turning it, and it really does grind it. It's kind of a nice, useful tool when you're making jewelry and stuff. Now, how did he drill these? He used what they call a drill bit, the chuck. And this is obviously like a $50 size. And there's quarter size, there's nickel size, dime size, all different bits. And again, he does it in the cellar for me, but if you're doing that, you also might want to think about having a little, like a soda bottle with some water, clear water in it. And you might want to, because the drill bit will get hot too while it's grinding the dish. And if it's a thin dish, watch out because it's going to crack on you. Make sure, again, you're definitely wearing protective glasses and some gloves and, really being careful. So, yeah. So anyway, those are some of the tools of the trade. And so these are pretty well sanded. I think I'm going to let them go and try to work with it. If I don't like it, I can always take them apart and work them again. That's the other thing. You can always undo something if it isn't coming out the way you hoped. You can pull, the solder and the paper foil off and start all over and reshape your piece or whatever. So that's a good thing. There's room for experiment with this kind of thing. One of the things I wanted to show you was a piece I made a year or so ago. Kind of pretty. Isn't that pretty, folks? And that was from a cup. So you can see the, concave edge of that? That was from a cup. So that's got the round on this side, and the back is somewhat flat. And these were right from probably the center of a plate. But there's different pieces and different things you can do. But look how pretty that came out. And I just used complementary beads that were the same of what's in the floral design, So yeah, and your jump rings, your bails. Now, jump rings can be a challenge. Sometimes they work well for me. They go quickly, and I, got that steady hand. And other nights, you're trying, half a dozen or more times to get one little jump ring on. you never know. They can be a challenge, I tell you. And there's just, as you go along, things do get a little better, but they can still be a challenge. And then the copper foil. Okay, so I like to buy the wide copper foil. And I like it because that way I can cut it to the width that I want. But you can also buy it in those widths too. You know, I've done that too. I don't know if I have any more down here. I used to keep it all right here. Yeah, here's, I don't know if this is one that I cut. This might have been one that I cut, but there's some that comes about that wide and then even slimmer. You go online, it's called copper foil for soldering. And, yeah. And all these supplies, you know, are affordable. I mean, they can get a little pricey depending on, you know, different companies and that, but overall they're okay. I mean, they're not too bad. A little thing of water. Here's some nice, you know, I would go to like Michael's or Hobby Lobby, those stores, and online to order my supplies. And this is just nice 9.4 yards, 8.5 milliliters, and bead landing chain, nickel-free iron. Made in China. John Carpenter Freeway. Distributed by Distribupar, MSPCI. Anyway, you know, and that's probably the chain I might use, but I'm thinking that this necklace, you don't want it up here, but you want it to hang a little lower, so it'll be pretty on a nice chain like that, you know. And I might give it some detail, maybe a few beads too, I'm not sure. Or I might just leave it alone. We'll see when I get there. That's another thing. You let the piece, I do anyway, speak to you. I mean, and they do. You'll realize, oh, I don't want beads on that. Oh, yes, I do. That'll be pretty charms and beads. And I have a whole bunch of different supplies all over the place here. So, anyway, I did want to work on that. So I think what I'm going to do is set this space right here because I've got an O-ring and the camera, and this is regular wire for your beads and stuff. I also have made the memory wire bracelets in the past too. So yeah, there's just a lot. And I want to make sure I've got room here for all my supplies. I don't want plastic bags in my way while I'm working here. I did clean all this up recently and over the winter because being an old farmhouse, we do get a mouse or two back here, and I had to clean it all up. I wiped everything down with alcohol. Trust me, folks, I did. And I do that every few months or so anyway. Keep your area somewhat clean. Okay, I'm going to turn it down here. Here's a few other pieces that I got to finish up. They're not done, but you can kind of see where my thoughts go in that regard, and styles and that. Yeah. Make room for all this stuff so you're not having a problem. That way. Now, even with this, you've got a little piece of sponge that goes into the little tray. where your soldering iron is, because that's how you put it on there to clean it every now and then too. And tinning it, you tin it. I'll show you what all that and what it means. You tin it with the solder, and you might want to have to dab it in on the sponge at times. Evidently, I made this, but then it came off the chain, so I've got to fix that and close up that jump ring a little bit better. It opened up on me. That must be what happened there. What? Okay. Oh. See if I can just, yeah, we'll make something pretty. I've been wanting to do that anyway. Okay, this is going to give me a hard time just because I want to get it on here and get going. I might have to do that later, but anyway, I made this piece a while back. I gotta polish it up, finish it up, and polish it up. Yeah, it's not letting me. All right, tools of the trade, little pair of needlepoint pliers, and I'm pulling a jump ring wider open so I can get this necklace. Ah, I got it on. I can't believe that. Okay. I'll take these. You really have to have your good eyes with you on any given night when you're trying to do this, let me tell you. Now, I'm pushing it back together, however, I also will probably need to put a bunch of solder on there. Another pretty piece. And this was from the side of like a saucer. And you know, they're not perfect. I don't think they're gonna be when you're working with dishes, but it's the uniqueness of the design and the different colors you can put together, adding charms. It's so much fun. And you really can make some, you know, and you know, you spend a quarter, maybe $1 at best for a plate or a dish you brought home. You smashed it up. You put, shaped it, drilled it, whatever you're doing, grinding it, sanding it, and then making it with your copper foiling and your solder and working a piece. And so you've got a few dollars invested in your beads, your chain. So let's say $4 to $5, and you can turn around and ask 30, 35 or more, depending how nice it comes out. Those aren't bad margins, right? Yeah. So think about that, folks. And it's fun. I've sold a lot of my stuff, got 5-star reviews on Etsy. I'll take that. I got to get back to it too. And if you go on my Etsy, Bling Sky Mosaics, you'll go to the sold and you'll see all the pieces I made, and some of them are very nice. And I got really nice reviews. And I've done custom jobs for people too, where they sent me their broken dishes that were grandma's or something, you know, very dear to them, and like at the holidays, and asked me to make necklaces, and I did, and some of them came out so nice, and those pictures are on there as well, so you'll see that. Oh my God, I've been trying to do my nails every week, especially doing videos and that, but they're dry and cracking, and then they crack. Oh, and then they get onto everything. Catch onto everything. Yeah. If I got a little file I had one here. I brought it back with me. Well, if I find my little file, I'll file my nail down with it. All right, and then here's some couple other. These are kind of long, you know, with long hair. Like I got a long pair on today. I didn't make these, but kind of cute. But these are pineapples. Yeah, from some dishes. It's really, and it's fun to go looking for your dishes too. It's fun sourcing. I love it. And looking for old beads and charms. So, and these might be kind of long for somebody, but you can always make a shorter pair. Like, these are dirty, but anyway. What did I just do with that? Oh, yeah, these. There we go. Now this one, obviously the pineapples are a bit off. And I got thinking, do I make a pair of earrings with them or not? The pineapple is not centered into the circle. It's a bit to the side. But I had them, I worked it anyway. I may just keep them for myself, but make a pair of earrings or something. You know? Yeah. But like I said, working with dishes, you're not going to always get it perfect. But that's what, again, makes it unique as well. Okay, close that for now. Oh, there it goes again. It came out of it. Just put it in there. All right, let's get this work on your project. And so more junk. This is an old one that I'd been using. And see that bead of solder? I bore the hole into it. Put it in this baking dish for, you know, usage safety. And that bead right there is solder. And my iron, when it's hot enough, I'll know because I'm going to put it in that. And that's going to turn to a pool of liquid very quickly. And some soldering irons also have temperature gauges. This one just, it does in a sense, but I always have it, I think, up to the highest. And I kind of know. And it'll smoke a little bit at you too if it's real dirty. You'll get a little smoky. So that's why I have a fan going. You always want to be in a ventilated area as well. That's important. And so we'll be doing that, putting my Weller tip, hot soldering iron tip into the bead of the Sal Almanac to tin it. And then I'm going to grab some solder. This might be a little piece of solder as well, yeah. And I always have Q-tips and stuff I use. There's all tweezers. You want to make sure you have needle nose pliers, tweezers, scissors, a ruler, your wire, different things that you're going to need working with jewelry and jewelry pieces and supplies. Yeah. And, oh, one more thing, very important. After we have copper foiled the edges of this, and we'll work together on that, you also want to purchase, and I get all these on Amazon, lead-free tinning flux. This is Odie number 95, but there's other brands too. And there's a liquid one. It looks like liquid, you know, like hand sanitizer type of liquid looking, but it's flux. Any way you want to use it. But it looks like that. And this might already have been, the color is a little more clearer. I've been using it so it turns a little, there's nothing wrong with it. It's still good. This isn't that old. And this is what you um, put on with like the Q-tip. After I've copper foiled, I'll flux it. And this also helps the solder to move and spread around your piece, the copper foil. It grabs to the copper foil, and you're able to work your. I'll show you. So there's all of that. So yeah, there's just a lot to it. You'll see that as we go along. So let's copper foil. While that's getting hot, I'll turn my camera down, and I'm also going to be talking while I work on this, okay? Telling another story or two, and see how that goes. See where that gets us. So let's see if I can get this to go down here. Oh dear. Okay. Sorry, people. I'm trying to. I apologize for that. Yeah. Okay. Can you see my soldering iron? And I'm gonna. What I do too is I take the edges of the Sale Almanac, and you'll be able to see that that's, yeah. See, it's already smoking. That's hot already. You want to clean it up. Look how nice that looks. And when I'm ready, I'll keep it in its holder there. And when I'm ready, and now I'm going to copper foil with the copper foil. Okay. So another thing I do is you take your copper foil, all right, and again, it's a little wider right there. You want just a little bit to come over to this edge, and then a little bit on that edge. So you're going to kind of measure. Okay, I think I need it right about. Okay, that's good. A little bit more. Right about there. All right, so I'm going to cut a piece. I got 2 of them to do, so I'm going to do a little bit of this. And let's hope I can get around both of them. Well, I need a little bit more. Okay. I haven't done this for so long. I wonder I remember how. All right. Okay. Get this out of our way. Cut this in half. Put it aside. Work with one. Now it's peel away. This is peel away. All right, so let's work with this one first. And I'm going to start kind of like halfway off to the side, not at the top or the bottom. You want to start on the side because you're going to be putting a bail or maybe adding some beads to either the bottom and the bail at the top. So knowing you're going to be putting something there that's going to add some weight to it, you don't want to start there with the starting point of your copper foiling, because it's going to, those are stress points, let's just say. So you want to start on the side where it's not going to have anything, let's just say, adhering to it. So then you're going to try to center it right into the middle. And then you're going to start pulling away your paper and hopefully get it to a good position. And sometimes a copper foil doesn't always stick as nice as you'd like it to, even though it's got a sticky on it. Yeah, you got to really, yeah, hold on, I'll have to come back to that. Right now I'm just, we'll go back and really press on that too. And I have a bone folder thing that you use to really push that down afterwards. So yeah, and you can trim with a little knife later if you've got too much copper foil and you don't like the look of it. So let's go back around. There it is. Okay. All right. And we're going to press that down. All right. Oh, that don't look too bad. Now it needs a little trimming on this side, and I'll show you that too. Let's get the bone folder. If I can find where it is. There it is. This tool is very handy at this point. All right. That soldering iron is nice and hot. So next you're going to use your utility knife. You always want to have a utility knife too. Yeah. You want to keep pushing, getting as many wrinkles out as you can, although we are going to be cutting a lot of that. Now you can also see where right now I went thin on that, and it's heavy over here, and it's thin there and heavier there, and that's what you're trying to avoid. You really want to get, but we can work from that. We can work around that. So let me take my utility knife now, and I don't need to put the cover on there. Make sure that it's tightened. All right. And what you do is you start cutting away a little bit of that copper foil so that it's just more even all the way around. Gotta have patience. Yeah, when you're doing this stuff, gotta have patience. do a little more. And like I said, don't worry if it's not absolutely perfect. You're just trying to get it the best you can. You're eyeballing it, and you're kind of just, because you're going to also, I like to make a little design in the solder, like a little ball edge of solder, so you aren't going to totally see this. But you do need the copper foil there to adhere to the solder, you know. So, yeah. All right. I'm going to try to get rid of a little more right through here. And you can lift it up, but you can also try to pull away at it. Okay. All right, now, one other little section right here. It's a little heavy. And I'm just really taking up thin pieces of it at this point. So much you can barely tell. All right. All right. No, I see something. I'm going a little bit more here. Okay. All right, guys. And then same thing on this side. Let's just get this out of here, okay? Let's get this stuff off. The big chunky part that need to go. Yeah. Uh-oh. See there? That's not good. I got more than I needed. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. It's breaking. That will happen. But I got enough there so I can probably put some of that back on there, maybe. If it'll stick. Don't worry. We'll get a good thing of solder there. Okay. 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 I think I'm good with this. Yeah, let's just, okay, now we're going to take the bone folder and we're going to go around and just try to make sure that there's enough on there. You're really just pressing this down hard. Yeah. All right. And then we're just going to go around. Yeah. and just try to have it come out real nice. All right, and then we're going to, all right, now I might take just a little speck of a piece. Or I might just forget about it too. Yeah, that ain't gonna matter. Okay, we're ready to put some flux on this. And I think I am going to go with the copper. So, I mean, the silver. So I'm going to move that over. I'm going to have this kind of over the workspace. You want to have everything on a hot tile or brick or something that will take the heat. Not wood by any means. Get rid of all these things. Okay, we're getting ready to foil this. Alright. Okay, I'll get some flux on there. I'm taking a Q-tip, getting some flux. Okay. This is where you can also use your tweezers or whatever you like. Hold it. Okay, she's ready for her solder. I haven't done it for a while, so now I hope you can see where I'm at here. I'm going to be putting it into the Stale Almanac, and this thing should be melting down shortly. There it goes, I think. Getting there. Yep. Oh yeah, it's getting in there. This is tinning it. Can you see that, folks? Oh, see that? Turning right into a pool. A ball of solder. She is tinned. That is a ball of solder. Yeah. She's tinned. Look at that. Can you see that? Okay, now we go to the solder, and it should grab some of that nicely. Yeah. Come on. Here we go. Now I'm going to hold this. I'm going to start, and I'm going to move away from me. And I'm going to try to grabbing some more solder. solder cooled off quickly too, though. Always put it back in there to get it going again. Boy, that cooled off quickly. There it goes. Been a while. Come on. Oh, nice. A little bit of solder does go a long way. You'll notice that too. All right, let's see what we got. You got any bumps or lumps? You can, I'm doing the back now, then I'll go back and do the front because I want to do the front better, a little fancier, so. You always want to go back to this to keep it nice and good flowing. You want a good flow with it, so you gotta always, and this bit is, you know, probably seen a little bit better days. Time for a new bit, maybe. All these things you can order on Amazon. Yeah. There we go. Be very careful too, because that's hot. Oh yeah. Okay. And you always file your pieces down a little bit too with any sharp solder edges after, so you always want to make sure you do that before you ever sell a piece or even wear a piece, because, you know, if you're wearing a nice sweater, let's say, and you, you know, don't do that, it could really ruin a nice sweater with a snag, you know, and you wouldn't think that there's little shard pieces of solder sticking out, but there is. You've got to work that, yeah. Oh boy, okay. Now I'm gonna try to get a good tin going and do the top and then do some nice little design to it, and I give it a little better look to it. There it goes. There we go. Nice ball of solder. And that solder's hot, and the soldering iron is hot. So you really want to keep working it. You know, try to get it smooth. Although you're still going to be putting a design on it anyway. But, you know, knowing that the copper foil is completely covered. That's what you're trying to do here. Yeah, and give it a good ridge, so that you can work a nice pretty design. There. I'm gonna let that dry or cool. Put that on my sponge a little bit. Clean it up a bit. This is where the smoke is a little bit. Okay. Back in there. So people, my subscriber, in regard to getting back to, you know, sharing stories of, you know, my life's challenges in my first marriage or whatever, One of the things too that it really upset me from early on, and I had to live with, and we would fight about it, was that when I look back to, I feel that he wasn't married to me. He was married to his mother. Truthfully, I feel that because it was like something was constantly between us, interrupting us as a couple, and it was his mother. He couldn't break away from that. He couldn't, take his place as a husband and just break from that and be more committed and loyal, faithful as a husband, just to me, where it mattered the most if you're gonna, and he would, not, well, anyway, so very early on, honeymoon time, we had come back from our honeymoon, and we only went to Hampton Beach, which isn't that far from us in New Hampshire, Hampton Beach. And who shows up there? Well, we're, on our honeymoon. We were just married. August 4th of 73. We were just married. And the very next day, or even that same day, we're riding on some of those little pedal carts that you can ride around the beach on. And who joins us at the beach? His parents. Oh, yeah. I never got a break, people. And that's that. So, okay, they stayed a few days with us. I mean, we headed up to Algonquin, Maine as well. And then, we did have some time to ourselves. But, oh, yeah, day right after our wedding. And because they liked Hampton Beach a lot too. They were at Hampton Beach with us. Oh, yeah. So, anyway, I found that a bit smothering. But that's kind of the way it was. And so then we get back from our about a week away, I guess it was. And we're sitting at the kitchen counter at his parents' house. And his mother's sitting right there. And it was a double ring ceremony, our wedding. So obviously he's wearing a ring and I'm wearing a ring, right? And he'd been wearing it for the week, kind of proudly, I guess. Well, Mama makes a comment with me sitting right there. And again, I didn't say too much because it just hurt me and I was so intimidated by them. Holy crap. She says to him out loud in front of me, I can't believe you're going to wear that thing. Yep. So guess what? He goes home and he takes it off, puts it in his jewelry box, and there it's at for 28 years, folks. Not kidding you. And we would fight over that one. And every now and then when I would really have a good fight with him about it, he might take it out and put it on for a day or two. But it ended up back there shortly thereafter. And his excuse then was because he swung a hammer and this and that with his construction and business there, that he couldn't take it on his finger. It just bothered him. Yeah, that was what he would say on that one. No, but he didn't wear it because Mommy told him not to. Who does that? I want to know, as a mother-in-law, who does that? Somebody who's trying to ruin your world, I think. Rock your world. And boy, she did. She certainly did. Ain't that something, folks? Again, not making this up. That's really the way it was. I wore mine every day, but there was a year at the end, a year or two at the end, where I took it off and didn't put it back on. I had it. I didn't feel at all married anymore, and after a while, I didn't want to be married. Yeah, to that. No. I'm just trying to get this nice and smooth. That's the key. So it has, so as you're doing your next design, it has a nice shell wall to adhere to. Now, the next thing I like to do for the front of these is to, again, get it nice and tinned here. There. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Oh, nice. Nice, nice, and nice. Yep. Oh, nice. I got a nice one. Okay. Now I'm just going to start and make a little hump. Okay. I'm just adding beaded section. Ooh, don't want that. I'm just adding like little drops to the edge and hoping that it forms a little design, a little ridge, a little lift, a little raised design. Yep. Oh, that's pretty. And with the silver, it's very pretty. Yeah. That's all you're doing. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty. Just what I wanted it to do. One of the good things, well, there were several good things. I got my children, like I talk about, and they're wonderful and beautiful human beings, and I'll take that. So, But another thing, I did thank him for this, as being, the physical education teacher that he was, kind of into the health, although that wasn't totally prominent in him. I can talk more about that at another time too. But anyway, he didn't like when I met him as a teenager, I was a smoker. Because all of us girls, when we went out to the local romp and stomping places to, meet guys and dance and hear bands and stuff, the local places. One of the places was called the Scotch Mist in Greenfield on the Mohawk Trail. And so, I smoked cigarettes. Everybody in my family was a smoker at that point. So it was inevitable that I'm going to smoke, right? But he didn't like that. So a promise I made to him was that I would quit when we got married. And I did. I quit right on the sand in Hampton Beach on our honeymoon. I quit cold turkey. And I never picked one up ever again since. And that was in 1973, folks. So I did thank him when we divorced. I did tell him thank you for that, because I think had I not promised that and had he not pushed that issue, I'd probably still be a smoker today, and that would have upset me because of the price of them and my health. So I do thank him and hugely for that. Yeah. Yeah. Look how pretty that is. And that's got sterling in it. So, yeah. And then what I'll do is at the top here, we'll pick out a nice bale jump rings. Maybe I'll add some complimentary beads to the chain. I'm not sure. We'll think about that one. Yeah. It's very pretty. Just the way I wanted it. Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, we can work on the other one. I'll copper foil the other one. Yeah. Maybe I'll work on something else that needs fixing. And that one needs sanding. They gotta cool. Yeah. I'll bring my camera up while I talk with you. That's pretty. Very pretty. Isn't that pretty, folks? I think it is. I'm going to show you. It's a little hot. Yeah. Back up with me. If I can get it. Doesn't want to stay up there. So, yeah, yep, never wore the wedding ring in all those years because Mama said that nasty thing with me sitting right there. And that's the way she was. Going back to the dating years, us girls would all go to this one bar downtown, even though we weren't old enough to drink. The restaurant, it was a restaurant too, so they would let us sit on the other side of the bar where there was one of those like accordion pull walls, and they would open the wall after 9 o'clock so that you could see into the bar, and so any guys that wanted to come sit with us would come over and sit, and we might buy a salad and some tea or something and sit there. And back then you could smoke and stuff, so we'd have our smokes and meet the guys, and it was just fun times and fond memories. But at one point, his mother, for a while there, actually part-time waitress there for a little bit, and I don't know why she did that, because she had a good job. Maybe it went when they laid them off, at GTD for a little bit. I'm not sure. At the Tap and Dine, maybe it's when she got laid off and then she took on that waitressing job. I don't know. But anyway, she was there in uniform waitressing this one night when we all went, us girls, and I'd been dating him. And the mother obviously knew that, even though I didn't show up at the house all that much. I kind of avoided her with Susan. But I mean, I hung out with his sister Susan too, so, and we still hang out. We're still very good friends. So, the mother sat there with Susan and I one night. I'll never forget this. And I think she actually did it on 2 occasions. But anyway, the mother, he had also, just prior to meeting me, this was early on, so let's just say a few months prior to him meeting me, he brought home to mother for lunch or dinner or something, a girl, and she had the same name as his mother. I mean, that's something, folks. And so that went over big. The mother loved that. And she must have been pretty too, and whatever, because the mother took a liking to her. Of course, she's in college. She's going to end up with a college degree. That's the plan, right? So she's going to be college educated and probably came from a little bit of money. And so she's looking much brighter penny than me, sitting over here, you know, living with my mother on welfare and not much to offer but a sewing machine and a clerical job. But so right in front of me, knowing that we're now dating, she says to his sister, I really, really hope he takes up more with that so-and-so girl. I really liked her. Right in front of me, knowing firmly that we were dating. Again, I said nothing. I just let her do her thing. Yeah. I don't know, folks. Maybe, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say I was perfect too. No, I had my flaws. I was not worldly. I hadn't traveled. I had barely seen the ocean. We didn't go anywhere. We weren't people with of stature and money and life experiences. No. So, you know, I had my weaknesses. I did. And still have a couple that I'm still working through at 72, you know. So, no, I'm not perfect either, folks. But I still feel, though, when I look back, like I said, when I left him, divorced him years later, and met up and had this boyfriend, I got thinking and wondering and believing that, you know, other men are more loving and nurturing. Other men can be kinder to you. Other men know how to treat a woman. I believe I was with someone who had no clue or didn't give a damn about learning, or you weren't going to tell him anyway. He had something about women, especially, telling him anything. And I know so of that because years later, the biggest argument ever, and it got rather ugly, of our marriage, the one that really sticks out, and the one that was kind of the start of the downfall of things, even though it took a number of more years for me to finally leave and everything. But it's a strong memory and a night of utter chaos and hurtful words. And my kids were older, but they saw some of that, and it wasn't good. And that's the night that Anyway, what started that was early on, that evening, I had been for months, a couple months, on my own, going to see like a therapist. It was a woman. And she so desperately wanted me to bring my family, if I could, on one occasion at least, so she could get to meet them, so that she could better help me and maybe we could work together and better help the whole family. Because this wasn't just my problem, it was a family problem, like Dr. Phil says. Okay. And so I kept asking him, she'd really like to meet you and maybe the kids, and, so let's, can we do that and this and that. So it ended up that he agreed to go with me one night over to Greenfield near the hospital to this appointment with this therapist, psychologist or whatever, psychologist, I guess, psychiatrist, one of those, a woman. And I liked her. She was, young, probably had been in practice maybe 7 or 8 years maybe at that time. And this is about my 3rd or 4th time meeting with her. So let's say I had 3 or 4 sessions on my own prior to this night. And she wanted us all as a family, but my son, I think he probably had to work. He was working at one of the local supermarkets in the produce department. He probably couldn't get away. So we brought my daughter. So it was just me and him and I and my daughter. And we go. And it doesn't turn out well. We're arguing even in front of her over stupid stuff. Now, narcissists, I find, have a way of also having family members try to get them to take sides. And that was ugly. And that was happening a little bit where at times my daughter would sometimes take his side. She's like 13 at the time. And it was a lot of work for me, a lot of verbal stuff going on, and I was very tired all the time, stressed, and a lot of arguing, a lot of sassafras from her too, and what kids do sometimes when there's conflict in the family. And so the lady, I had said, he belittles me because I don't cook like she does. I don't make brownies like she does. I don't make spaghetti sauce. I'm not like Mother. And I'm cleaning an unfinished house. There's unfinished floors that are buckling. Parquet flooring he put down and never finished with the sealer, so it's buckling by the sink. And, I'm trying to clean all that, and it's just awful. And so there was something about I didn't, wash the floors like she did or something, but you couldn't wash these floors very well with them buckling. Like, I didn't know, I used buckets of water and stuff, but, how do you, I was on my hands and knees at times cleaning those floors. Come on. So anyway, we're in there in this session, and all of this stuff comes up. So now we're arguing amongst ourselves, and we're hollering in front of her, and she puts up the white flag, our hands, and says, stop. And anyway, we get through the session, and we leave, and we're walking outside down this ramp, brick building. I remember clearly. My daughter's there. My son isn't. And he says to me, this is the first and last time I'm ever coming to something like this. These psychologists, psychiatrists, he said, F them. He said, they make effing good money and they don't effing know nothing. And this was stupid. This was a big waste of my time, and don't you ask me to come again, and swearing, and okay. So the plan was we were going to go out to eat after, which, that was the initial plan early on in the evening. We were going to go to dinner after our appointment. It was early, like, say, 5 o'clock appointment or 4 o'clock appointment. And so for an hour, so 5 or 6 o'clock, we're going to go to a local restaurant that he really liked, a Chinese restaurant. And we're going to go there and we're going to have, dinner. So we do. And I am so mad at him because of a couple of things he said in that session, belittling me in front of this lady and fighting with her. And one thing she did ask him was, so what? So what if she doesn't make brownies like your mother did, or spaghetti sauce quite like your mother did, homemade, or wash the floors in the same style that your mother did? Does that really matter? Does that make her an unfit mother and wife? I mean, come on, and he didn't answer. He wouldn't answer her, or if he did answer, it was something ugly to make me even look smaller. I can't quite remember the words he said, but it wasn't good. So I left there very upset with him and the way he carried on and everything, and wasn't cooperative, and he got my daughter all going, and so the two of them are all screaming at me and this and that. And the lady saw all this. So anyway, we go to the restaurant and we order our food, and in between the food coming and this and that, he's sitting right across from me. We're in a booth, and my daughter's sitting next to him looking at me. And so I asked him, I said, I just want to ask you, you mentioned something about me not washing the floors good or something. I said, why would you say that? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do with the floors? I'm washing them. I'm got the bucket there and the water, and I'm washing them. He says, and I kid you not, word for word, gets real close to me in front of my daughter, our daughter. Why don't you bend over and lick them? Oh, yeah. He clearly said that to me in front of her at 13 years old. Yeah. You know what I wanted to do? And I came this close to taking that hot dish of rice and broccoli and throw it on his crotch. That's what I wanted to do. I kid you not. I was so mad. I wanted to take her with me. I was ready to get up and walk out of there. And we were the next town over. We would have had to walk like 4 or 5 miles home. But I was willing to do that, or have him grab the car keys and I was going to drive home and he could walk. One or the other. But he said that. I'm so mad at myself. I sat there and ate our dinner, mad as hell, steam coming out of my ears. And took it. I think I did call him some names and swore at him too back. But in front of her, I didn't want it to get ugly there. So we finished our dinner, and I rode home in silence, mad as hell, and he knew it. And when we got home, that's when I started talking to him and question. And then before you know it, it's a big, huge, bada bing, bada boom, bang out fight. And my son now comes home, so he heard it. It was ugly. And that's the night that he took his fist, and instead of hitting me, he hit a bicycle seat that was one of those exercise bikes in the bedroom. And days later, he broke something, and days later we had to go to a bone doctor for that. And he lied to the bone doctor and told him he did it on the job, swinging the hammer or something, and hit it. And the bone doctor says to him, right, I was there. Oh, really? Looks like a boxer's punch to me. I looked over at me like, the look on his face like, what's really going on here? Yeah. I think I did tell him afterwards too. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, folks. But, you know, the good thing, like I told you, he did get me to quit smoking, and we did have 2 beautiful children. So, but those are some more things I endured. Foolish me. I mean, there's things, maybe I'm angry at myself sometimes, and then one could ask, well, how did you get through that? Well, my crafting, my sewing. I spent a lot of years talking to the sewing machine. Oh, yeah. And sewing up a storm, making curtains, whatever I had to do up in my sewing room. Painting. I learned to paint and get, you know, anything that was therapy that way. Yes, I strongly encourage one to seek, you know, read a good book, pick up a paintbrush, even if you've never done these things before, just try, just start somewhere, because you'll be amazed at the therapeutic properties that are in all of that. Oh yeah, sewing was my escape. I could concentrate and let some of that go. Yep. Sewing was my first love. Yeah, and crafting, and now I do this. Still a little hot, is it? No, not bad. Oh, sharp though. Look at that, folks. That's going to be a beautiful piece of necklace when I get it all done. Now those edges are very sharp. They need filing with your little metal file that I have. And yeah, sanding down. And then what I'll do is, this is the top of it. So I'll find myself a nice bail. I have all these supplies here, beautiful, pretty bail, and nice chain, and maybe another big jump ring, and, you know, leave it simple. I think it should be left simple, unless I come up with an idea for some very tiny seed beads in these colors. I don't know. Some pearls would be pretty too. I'll let you know. But I've got 2 of them. I'm going to make 2, and they're going to be a little different. So I'll showcase that in the next video. How's that? But thank you. I'm going to let you go now. And yes, let me think of another one little quick good thing. Very early on, I did have fun when at Christmas time, a couple of Christmases early on though, he would write little notes, and we would wake up Christmas morning, and I would follow note after note and go around the house looking for my gift, and that was fun. That was a fun memory, a nice little thing he did. But I don't know, he stopped doing that after a while, and Mama really had a hold on our marriage and made sure, you know, he was more loyal to her than he ever was to me. At least that's how it felt. And obviously looking at what I endured, yeah, it was hurtful. A lot of hurtful things came from her, yeah. Anyway, so that's that. And I am going to say goodnight. I'm getting tired. I've got a busy day tomorrow, and I love you. Come on in, tell your friends, share, like, hit the button, subscribe. Yes, I'm asking you. That's you. Subscribe if you haven't already, and come back in the next few days. Watch for my video. I'll have another one. We'll work on some more projects, and we'll tell some real life stories. Okay? Maureen Sky, Crafty Sky Lady, thank you. And until we meet again, I certainly hope the universe provides for you. Thank you now. Bye-bye.